The week of my favorite cards continues. And when I say the week, it really is just the first 2 days of this week. We had defense yesterday. We have offense today. My favorite cards. These are not necessarily like the best of the best. Just my favorite that I like from just playing the game, playing against these guys that I found good, guys that I struggled against. Just from my experiences playing Madden 25, these are my 10 favorite. Let's get started with an honorable mention. I couldn't make this video without J.C. Latham because of what he did for my run game. This card is the fastest offensive lineman in the game. We kind of sorted by speed here. You can see I like Joe Alt too. Joe Alt, spoiler alert, will be in the top 10 today. But Latham, 70 speed, 74 acceleration. If you run like 0-1 traps or base runs, any runs where you have guards that pull, that's where I would put Latham. That's where Latham is in my offense, and he goes a long way. If there's any kind of loose defensive tackles that need to get picked up, or, you know, even when it comes to double teaming and getting to that second level, having that good acceleration does go a very long way for J.C. Latham. So I had to include him in this video because if you have this card, you know how good he is. If you don't, I guess you're kind of out of luck, but yeah, he had to be mentioned today. But before we get into our top 10, we have a quick word from our sponsor. If you're looking to add any of these cards from today's video to your team, head to my sponsor, MMOEXP. Cheap, fast, reliable, MUT coins. Use code FREDDY at checkout for 5% off. A link for their website is in the description. Coming in at number 10 is Mike Vick. This card is an interesting one because he's a lefty, right? And we all know that lefties have the problem where they cannot roll right. It is still a thing. Even the 87 speed Mike Vick, the fastest quarterback in the game, feels like a slug when he gets A-gapped or blitzed off the left side and he cannot roll right. It is a problem. If you can work around this and find ways to keep Vick going left and keep him in good running schemes and get him into open space, this card is really, really good. He really is. He's a good passer. But the big problem is the fact that if you get A-gapped and you are forced to roll right, you cannot do it. That's why Mike Vick ends up here. If lefties work the same as righties, Vick might be number 1 on this list. That's how good this card plays when you're playing against someone that isn't using the mid blitz A-gap. The problem is you're probably facing someone that uses the A-gap mid blitz. It just is what it is in this game right now. Until EA does something, it is the best blitz in the game, as you can play coverage out of it, and it is pretty glitchy. It's kind of like you're squeezing a bunch of guys through one hole. Pause. Let's get on to the next one. Okay. Number 9, Joe Alt. Joe Alt is a stud, mainly for the reason that he is fast. Also has really good stats, but at 6'8", 322 pounds, his weight and how the card moves, again, though, you know, that second level difference, being able to kind of get off an end and then pick up a safety or pick up a DB, or the user, it goes a long way having that little bit of speed. And I am a nut for speedy offensive linemen. Not that we're at that point of the year where we have guys with 80 speed or high to mid 70s in speed, but when we get there, just keep an eye out for them. But Joe Alt, it's not really for his speed, it's just for his stats and his size, but he is still a top 3 offensive lineman as far as speed goes, which does go a long way, like I mentioned with J.C. Latham. And next up, we got C.J. Stroud. I would say pretty much any of these QBs in the top 10, you can interchange them. Really, it really comes down to just splitting hairs at the end of the day, but Stroud's speed, 80 speed, 82 acceleration, can roll out just fine. Really good throw power, good accuracy stats, good throw on the run, good throw under pressure. I also really do like his X factors. He's able to get, if we look down here, he gets pocket deadeye, he gets protected, he gets hot route master, and he gets fearless. So no matter what you want to do, I mean, hot route master is all right. You know, you're able to throw some extra routes on the field that you can't do traditionally. But fearless is the one I really do like, you know, especially against the A-gap. People are going to get pressure, so having that, you know, no stress, just be able to throw a ball even under pressure. You kind of saw it with last year's Tom Brady card, like fearless. You can just, you're just basically, like with a decent release, which Stroud has. Is his release game altering? Is it Aaron Rodgers? No, it's not. It's okay. If his release was honestly a little bit better, he might be a little bit higher. The over the top 4 is just okay. But with fearless, even when, you know, I'm going to try to say something that's not a, you know, that we don't got to pause here, but when pass rushers are right in your face, you can still deliver. I'm glad I dodged the bullet there. That was a dangerous one. And next up, we got Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson would probably be in the top 3 if the super spin was still a thing. I need to stop talking about it because at this point we're already a week. It's been gone for a week, okay? And he still does get, you know, what looks like the animation. It just doesn't hit the same, honestly. But evasive with good speed, good acceleration. That's the main thing, and can move either way, whether you want to juke or spin. Good COD, decent COD, I would say. Fumbling problems with him, I really can't think of a time I've had fumbling problems with him, to be honest, even though it is at 78. I mean, and I do pretty much run this guy to the ground in a lot of, even when he had the super spin, of course, we kind of ran him to the ground, but yeah, no fumbling problem. It's just a really solid back for sure. It would have been RB1, but things change. Things change. Mid blitz doesn't, but ball carrier moves, they do change. And next up, we have two cards. Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy. They are so similar to each other. It is really splitting hairs, so I kind of grouped them up together, but McCarthy, Lawrence, both are demons in this game. Usually, Trevor Lawrence comes out and he's pretty mid, right? He's pretty mid. I feel like this card, even for me, was overshadowed by CJ Stroud because Stroud, Stroud's a little more hyped than Trevor Lawrence or whatever, right? And better IRL. So he's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of where my head went. And I knew we were getting the Stroud, so I wasn't like, I kind of looked past this Trevor Lawrence, but he's a damn good card, okay? Good release, does get gift wrapped. And if you just go gift wrapped Gambit on him, that's a good setup for Trevor Lawrence. An already good release. Gambit's one of the better non-ability X factors. All you need is 5-yard completions consecutively, which is not that difficult to do. And once it's lit up, you basically get what feels like set feet lead gunslinger all in one. So Gambit is really good. And also JJ McCarthy, of course, good stats. Does get some ability X factors, but again, you could just go for 1 AP Homer and Gambit and you'll be fine. If you want to go evasive, gutsy, or dashing, do you. But I really do like both McCarthy and Trevor Lawrence, both cards. I really couldn't put one over the other. I think each card has their pros and each card has their cons, or I guess advantages compared to the other. I would say the biggest advantage is Lawrence's release and the fact Lawrence's price tag's where it's at, and he does get gift wrapped, which to me is better than Homer. And next man up is the brand new legend, Ricky Williams. 87 speed, 88 acceleration, but the main thing with him is the weight. And this is a stat I want you guys to pay attention to for this year. As long as tackling is where tackling's at, heavy running backs are busted in this game if you guys don't know already. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been using the elusive backs when the quick spin was hyped up. People kind of went away from the power backs. We never really gave them a try, but they're going to be the dominant backs in this game. So keep an eye out on that. But like for example, a guy like Marshawn Lynch, right? Marshawn Lynch is considered a power back, but he's only 215. So having that extra 15 pounds to me is what puts Ricky over the top. Also a decent pass catcher, good break tackle, decent juke move, good trucking, good speed, good acceleration. So that's why Marshawn Lynch isn't on here, because I think weight is going to be one of the most important stats throughout this year. And there's one more heavy guy in this top 10 today that honestly might surprise you. I don't know if you watch me on Twitch and, I talk about this guy a lot, but maybe it'll surprise you. So I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see him here in a second. Man, oh man, as a Kyler Murray fantasy owner, watching Marvin Harrison run wide open, man, and Kyler just not seeing him, it hurt. And even Marv having 1 for 4. I don't want to talk about too much, but Marvin Harrison, man, 87 speed, 87 acceleration. 6'3". If you give him the +1, you could have given him the quick spin. I think there is still value maybe doing that, but you might want to look elsewhere. But good after the catch, good size, good route runner, and does get the AKA double me, which is really good, or wide receiver apprentice as well. And you can actually take off this ability here. So it's up to you what you want to do. I mean, wide receiver apprentice, you are going to get those extra slot routes, those extra outside routes, which is really good. Double me, of course, when it's lit up. It doesn't light up too often. I mean, it's every 8 plays, which is a lot, really. If you want to, limit that, you can go home or something like that, or even keep it on for one more play with persistence. But no issue, you can't do that, actually. Sorry. No, you can't, because it's 3 AP. Unless they raise the AP cap, you can't do that. My bad. But it does work with wide receiver apprentice if you'd like to. But double me is really good this year. It does actually work, unlike years past. There are, of course, ways to counter it, like do the Randy Moss, Madden 20, step in front of him thing that if you played that game, you know what I'm talking about. You can counter it with that, but it's really consistent with this build. Maserati Marv has to be considered, and hopefully for Marv fantasy owners and Kyler fantasy owners, he figures it out there. I think he will. He's too good not to. Coming in at number 3, the top 3, I could have switched any of them around, but Xavier Worthy getting that +1, which is the icing on the cake for me. That's not or the cherry on top, whatever. But Worthy, man, 5'11", 89 speed. I think Worthy's a card that will quickly drop out of this, mainly because of his speed. Like, he'll get caught up to eventually. I mean, him getting a +2 buffer over the second fastest wide receiver, it is nice. And also him being as good as he is after the catch is also nice as well. And he's not too short. I mean, 5'11" is like not a bad height. Usually we kind of get these speedsters like a Tyreek Hill, and he's like 5'9", 5'8", or small guys like that. But 5'11" is not a terrible height with these, like, catching traffic stats. Normally they give us speedsters, but bad catching traffic, but really good route running. This Worthy card's a stud, and you see what he's going for. It is for a good reason. If you use his, but this card, he's a very fun card to use in game. Yeah, this card's also really nice. And I'd be lying if I told you that his updated likeness didn't go a long way. I mean, his card's already good, but I consider that, a nice little bonus. It feels like you're using Worthy out there. It has the neck tattoos. He looks sick, but yeah, Xavier Worthy, stud, man. Absolute stud in game, okay? You may have thought he's going to be a little bit higher, and there might be debate. But again, this is my favorite list, okay? Drop your favorite down below if you want to give me your top 10, okay? This is my favorites, okay? Mike Allstott. It comes in front of Xavier Worthy, and just trust me, man. I've been campaigning for this card. I made a video day 2 of Madden 25 talking about this card and how good he is. Unfortunately, the quick spin quickly overshadowed how good power backs are, but he's our best power back in the game right now. 85 speed if you have a 20 theme team, which everybody should have right now. But it's the 87 acceleration. It's even the 83 COD on a power back, which does go a long way. And you can air truck with him. Air trucking is not what it used to be. But why this card is so good is because of his weight. And you just bounce off people. I just cannot. She just moves so glitchy. The truck animations do play pretty well. If they miss time, hits it, especially right now in this game, with how bad tackling is in the secondary still, because they're still early on in the year. Allstott is a stud. Not to mention also a decent pass blocker, more of a run blocker, not really a pass blocker, but this card at running back, if you have like Christian McCaffrey or maybe like a 32 team chem season 1 player that you're not using, like Ray Lewis, Max, no matter who it is, just try Allstott. And then thank me later, because this card is a monster. Don't go using him like he's a Chris Johnson trying to spin back and things like that, but you're going to see some glitchy things that you probably haven't seen so far in this game. Mike Allstott is that guy, and in my opinion, he is the RB1 in Madden 25 right now. At number 1, we got Vernon Davis, mainly because this card at tight end will not be beat for a while. There is one guy that scares me, and that is, I'll show you him, Isaiah Likely. I think he has a high chance to get a high overall card after his Thursday night performance. However, the Ravens did lose, and normally when people lose, EA doesn't reward them. So maybe we don't even get a Likely card. There's a chance that happens, but if we do, he's got a chance. He's kind of wide receiver-ish, right? Good build, good weight. There's a chance here. But like a guy that could come out and beat Vernon Davis would be Kyle Pitts. But we already know Kyle Pitts is getting a new card in a month, technically, that'll be in game, and he's not better than Vernon Davis. 244 with these stats, route running. Put him at wide receiver for all I care. I mean, he's just a demon all around. Good impact block as well. Vernon Davis is a stud and will be the best tight end in the game for a while. I know we have a couple tight ends in the back burner like Tony Gonzalez, but I don't think he's going to beat Vernon. I just do not see it happening. So, Vernon Davis, my number 1. Have a great rest of your day. Hit the subscribe button. As always, I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.